So can you actually feed your filters? You can. Some people feed ammonia. They actually buy ammonia and put it in their filters over the winter period, or at certain times of the year when the fish aren't producing as much ammonia, basically to keep the bacteria alive in your ponds. Because your pond and your filter system has bacteria, beneficial bacteria, that break down organic material and make it turn it into a gas. They also live off ammonia, and then they produce nitrite, and then the nitrite creates nitrate, which is the natural pond cycle, which allows you to have your fish, to let them do their business, pooing and weeing and God knows what, and then the bacteria deals with all that. So your pond doesn't turn into like a waste centre. Because really, when you think about it, your fish are just swimming around in a big toilet. You know, they go to the toilet in your pond, it goes through your filter system, and it goes back into the pond again. So you have to have the bacteria in there to be able to change what the fish are creating, because ammonia is toxic to the fish, kill your fish. High spikes of ammonia, high levels of ammonia in your pond will kill your fish, as will nitrite. But once it's changed to nitrate, then nitrate is less harmful. You still don't want it in in really high doses in your pond for long periods of time, because it affects your fish, but it won't actually kill them short term, but it might long term. Anyways, you can buy some of this beneficial bacteria over the counter. You know, there's a number of products out there that I don't think of that you can buy over the counter and just put into your filters, and it helps to allegedly boost your bacteria in your ponds. In your pond, you've got two different types of bacteria. You've got aerobic and aerobic. The aerobic needs oxygen to survive, which are things like in your filter when you've got your air blowing through your systems. But your anaerobic, it usually lives on the bottom of your pond, where the oxygen's quite sparse, because they don't need oxygen to survive, whereas your aerobic dies if you haven't got enough oxygen going into your system, and it also thrives if you have more oxygen going into your system, as with your fish. So the beneficial bacteria you buy over the counter, they're really there to boost after a winter. You're coming out of winter into spring, or spring into summer, and you want to boost your filters, because the lower temperatures kill off a lot of the bacteria. Because three things that the bacteria like is darkness, warmth, and either oxygen if you're aerobic, or no oxygen if you're anaerobic in your pond. So as soon as your pond temperatures start coming up again, and your bacteria starts to regenerate itself and starts to get more and more, you just give it a boost with this stuff. Now, the stuff you buy over the counter, I've always been a bit skeptical, to be honest, about how it actually survives when it's sitting on a shelf, or it's in a box, or it's transported. Because how do they make the bacteria survive in the tubs when it's not been fed? You know, bacteria needs ammonia to feed it. So I don't know. This is maybe another subject that I need to look into a bit deeper. But how do they make it survive when it's not been fed for months? It could be months before you go to your local shop, and buy some. So I don't know. I'm a bit skeptical. To be honest, the stuff I've got today, I've had for a little while. I think I made a video a while back that I'll post up here somewhere. You know, is it any good, or is it placebo for your pond? So I've got the stuff, and I always said I was going to use it because I've got it. You know, I wouldn't pay that money for and then just chuck it away because I don't believe in it. I've actually got it. People recommended it to me, so I'm going to use it in this video. I've always kept an eye on what the product says the temperature's got to be when you put these products in, because if you go, for example, the one I've got today says the temperatures must be above 12 degrees. The water temperature is 12 degrees in the pond. So if you don't, and you chuck them in early, then you might just be chucking your money away, because the bacteria won't be able to survive from that tub or whatever they're saying. So it's always an idea to keep an eye on the tub to see what temperature it's got to be before you start putting this stuff in. So the two products I have at my disposal is the Fresh PSP. I don't know if it's fresh now. It's been sitting in my garage for the last 8 months. There's not much left of it. I was sort of iffing and putting bits and pieces in. So there's this one, and this is the one that I'm going to be using today to put in, because this says over temperatures over 12 degrees. So I'm going to be using some of this in the pond today. The other one that I've got, and I had this last year again, it's been sitting in my garage over winter. In fact, I did move it into the house at one point because the garage does get quite cold when the heat is not in there. So I moved these products into the house. Didn't tell the wife. Shh, don't. If you ever meet one, don't tell her. She'd go nuts if she knew I was harbouring bacteria in the house. Anyways, So yeah, so this was in the house as well, and this says it's got to be at least 10 degrees, which is a Bacto Plus, it's probiotics. So this must be really good for the fish and your filters. So I shan't be using this today. I'm going to read these instructions a little bit more, and like I say, I was dipping into this a little bit through last year, not really using it seriously, but I got hold of it from Danny's Koi actually. Go see Danny Koi and crew, good bloke. So I got that from there. Now the other product I also had, and I've literally just used the last bit of it, is Colombo Fish Protect. So I had this last year again, recommended to me by people that use it, swear by it. Every time they do a medication or a dose of something into the pond, they've always sort of adding this in because this helps with the fish coat. It says toxic substances and pollution will be removed from the water and the clarity will improve, and so on and so forth. So a lot of people swear by this stuff, that you know, it does help and aid when you put in these toxic chemicals in the pond that don't actually kill your fish, but you know, you put in stuff in your pond that the fish aren't used to, but sometimes you have to do it to be able to remove whatever's in there. If it's parasite or, you know, what blanket weed or whatever you're doing, and they swear by putting this in. So I put the last bit of this in about a couple of days after I'd finished my potassium permanganate and then my Lernex Pro treatment for fluke that I had, so far so good, had in my pond. Now, just a little bit on, just before we go back to this bacteria, I know we're doing bacteria stuff, but a lot of people were saying, yeah, but you've got to do a second dose of that 14 days later, because if the fluke have laid their eggs, 14 days later, you're going to be back to where you were. I completely agree. However, on the slides that I had, they were skin fluke, which give birth. So they, like a human being, the baby fluke is in their stomachs, and they give birth to it. So you kill the fluke, you kill whatever's in its body. So you kill the internal fluke as well. If it was gill fluke produce eggs that they lay the eggs and then they hatch into new fluke. So the only things I saw on my slides were skin fluke. However, another however here, I will be doing a second dose of Lernex Pro, just one standard dose. I think it's going to be something like 12 or 14 days. I think the pack says 14 days after the first initial dose. So I'll be doing another dose, a follow-up dose, just in case there were gill flukes in there that I didn't see. Because I haven't seen them, but they're still in there. Obviously they're laying eggs, or they would have done before I killed them with the Lernex Pro and the PP. But those eggs would have started hatching at some point. So in the next, I think I've got about sort of 5 or 7 days before that bit's up, then I'm going to put another dose of Lernex Pro in. So sorry, that's just to clear up from me of the video when I was treating parasites. So let's go back to talking about bacteria. Right, so the tub says for maintenance, this is I want 10 millilitres per 500 litres. Now I don't think I'm going to have enough in here to do that. I have a feeling I'll be chucking all this in. So let's get this in, because like I said, at the moment my pond is holding, even though it's still a bit chilly at night time, it is holding well above the 12 degrees that you need for these products to do anything. So I'm just going to put in what I've got. I mean, I should measure it with my little measuring thing, but that's a 10 mil per 500, so 20 mil per 1,000, and I've got 7,000 pond. So let's just put this in. That's 1,000, 2,000, 6,000, 7,000. Oh, I did, and I've got some left. Well, okay, I'll maybe put some more of that in at some point. Right, quick note to self. It says on the back of the pack that I've got to turn the UV off for the next 24 hours. So I suppose that's for just in case it goes out of the filters, it hasn't grabbed onto anywhere yet, straight through and through the UV, and the UV zaps the bacteria. So UV's now off. It'll all run as normal now for 24 hours and then turn the UV back on. Quick update on the chag. Remember we had those dots on those blemishes things on his side, and also had that zit on his nose. Well, after the treatment, I put a tamidine and some propolis spray. Seems to have like helped, because the thing on his nose has virtually gone now, and he's down to only one bit of a blemish on his side. So far so good with the Chag. The complete pond detox that I did a review of, that if you've not seen yet, I'll put a link somewhere up here at the end. Did a whole month of reviewing it and how it went. Still doing a marvellous job. As you can see, the water is really, really clear still at the moment, which is an area that I've always struggled with at sort of like going into out of spring and into summer, because completely open pond, no cover, and full sun. So the algae always seems to get old really early, and I really struggle with the UV. I've got a 55 watt UV. You know, I could put 2 in line, but then I'm, you know, how many watts do you want to spend on your pond? So at the moment, it seems to be doing a really good job, and I'm going to continue to use it, as I said in the last video, all the way through. Now, if you're still looking to find some of the complete pond detox, they'll put a link in the description below. You basically click on the link, put your postcode in, and it will take you, or it will show you in the UK where your nearest outlet is. And I believe they're also looking for Europe and worldwide supplying. Obviously, it depends on demand, but yeah, it's interesting stuff how this stuff seems to be taking over the other products you used to use. So let's see how it does in summer now. The temperatures are going up. So I've decided to get my brolly out and get my seating area out, because the sun's out in the UK and it's glorious. Still a little bit nippy at night time though, hence why the covers are sitting over there at the back of the pond, so they can come back on at night time, because it's still a little bit chilly at night time. So hopefully that's going to change real soon. So as soon as I get the covers off, I can start getting on with some of the little projects and some of the little adjustments I want to make. I've got a load of painting to do. All my grey painting here has got to be done and updated and looking fresher. Garden's looking better. It's all coming together now. We're almost there for summer. So thanks very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, share to your friends, and click the like, because it deserves good old algorithms. Anyway, do what you feel is necessary. Do what you think is right. Thanks very much for watching Quip on Lifestyle.